Today we are going to be making 1 month's worth of meals, and I need your help because if you've watched our channel before, then you know that usually when I do big freezer meal marathons, I have my neighbor and friend Christy here with me. But Christy's on vacation, so I really need you guys to help keep me company and keep my energy level up, because this is a lot easier to do when you do it with a friend and you've got music going and you've got chit chat all day. Me by myself in my kitchen, way less fun, but with you guys here, I think we can get this done. We are making meals today for my friend. She lost her husband unexpectedly this summer. She's a fellow adoptive mom and she's got 4 kids. So she finds herself overwhelmed right now, of course. And I thought it would be a great thing for us to do to make her a month's worth of meals so that she doesn't have to worry about what to make for dinner every single day. And I know that that's something that a lot of you can relate to. It's one of those stresses in your day when you kind of get to that 4 o'clock point and you're like, oh my goodness, I forgot to figure out what to make for dinner today. We're gonna help her to take that question away and just bring her stress down a little bit. I can't fix everything with the meals, but we can at least get her and her 4 kids fed. So I was talking to her and I asked her if they had any allergies or dietary preferences, and they don't, which makes this a lot easier. She did mention that they love meatballs, and it just so happened that I had already started thinking about this menu and I already had chosen some meatball meals. So once she told me that, I did add a few more, but she also mentioned that anything for the slow cooker would be helpful for those super busy days. So we're gonna put in a lot of slow cooker meals. We're gonna add in some meatballs because for their family, that is comfort food, and we definitely wanna do that for them. So we're going to get started, and a little bit later I'm going to share with you something that I did that made doing this today so much easier. But before I do that, I want to get to this first recipe and explain why I'm doing it first. Whenever I'm doing these big marathon sessions, I always like to choose easy meals at the very beginning. It's just a bit of a mindset thing where I want to get a few meals done and in the freezer so that then I can look at my list and go, this is no problem because we've already got 2 meals done. And so the first 2 meals that we're gonna do today are literally dump recipes. We're gonna dump everything in the bag. We're going to get them in the freezer. They've both got like 5 ingredients or less, and they both are using beef roast. When you're freezer cooking, it does go a lot faster if you make all your meals with one protein before you move on to the next protein. So let's start with this first beef roast meal. This is our beef dip. We've got our roast already in the bag, and then we're going to add some minced garlic just from a jar because that saves extra time, and when you're doing this many meals all at once, time is of the essence. And we're gonna add some dry onion soup mix, beef broth, and pepper. That's it, that's all. Seal that bag. Be sure to get as much air as you can out of the bag because when you're freezer cooking, air is what causes your freezer burn. Then you're going to get that in the freezer. On the day of cooking, you're just going to throw this into your slow cooker, allow it to cook all day. You can slice it and serve it on buns using that juice from the roast to dip in. Next, we are moving on to our shredded beef nachos. This again, you're just gonna have your roast in your bag. You're gonna add some taco seasoning and shake it to coat that roast. Then you're gonna add a cup of salsa and some beef broth. It's nice that both of these recipes use beef broth because again, it just takes less time when you're using similar ingredients and you already have them out. Then you're going to get as much air as you can out of your bag again, seal it and freeze it. On the day you go to cook this one, you thaw it, and this one can be cooked in the Instant Pot or in the slow cooker. This is another one where it can cook all day, which is really nice. And this is really gonna stretch and go far. When it's done, you shred it, and this can be served in tacos or on top of nachos. This is a great fun one to do with your kids. You can have it for like a family movie night or something like that. And with the beef in there, you've got your extra protein on those nachos, and you can feel like your kids are well fed. Now that we're done with our beef roast, we're gonna move on to our raw chicken. We have quite a number of chicken meals that we're making. We're making some with chicken breast and some with chicken thighs. I did go ahead last night and trimmed the chicken thighs because sometimes there's little bits of bone, especially if you buy them at Costco, which I did, or some gristle, fat, that kind of thing. And I just take some kitchen scissors, trim that off. So I portioned them out into bags already. That way we're really good and ready to go. For the chicken breasts, I didn't do that. They're a lot faster to trim, so I'll just do that today as I go. Now, I wanted to show you that it hardly takes any extra time to make 2 of one meal than to make 1. So when you're freezer cooking, you might as well just double each of the recipes. And if you're gonna double it, you might as well quadruple it. So I thought it might be really fun for us to time it. I'm gonna get my husband to stick a timer on and see how long it takes to put together one of our easy crock-pot chicken cacciatores versus doing 2 or 4. And then we'll give you the results, and you'll be able to see with your own eyes how easy it can be to actually get your freezer stacked. Something that makes things go much faster is to have all your ingredients laid out. So this recipe only uses chicken, zucchini, onions, pasta sauce, and Italian seasoning. You can also substitute our red sauce recipe for the pasta sauce if you prefer. Another thing that is helpful is having a 1 cup measuring cup in some of your things like your onion, your zucchini, and we put it later in the ground beef, ground sausage, those kind of things, because then it's easy to scoop out and measure. We've got everything we need ready to go, and we've got our labels to stick on the bags. So we are going to get started with this recipe. Again, we're gonna make 1 and then 2 and 4 and time ourselves and see which way it's faster. And go. Oh, I have to grab a spatula. Now, we're gonna squish everything together in the bag. Then you're gonna get as much air as you can out of that bag so you don't get freezer burn. And slap a label on it, and we're done. So according to my official timekeeper, that took 1 minute and 40 seconds, although he says that 25 seconds of that was getting my spatula, which is accurate. Now we have our spatula for the next ones, so we'll get those done and see how long it takes to make 2 of these and 4. I'm guessing that we can get all 4 done in about 6 minutes. So to me, making 4 meals in 6 minutes sounds like a pretty good deal. To make 1 easy crock-pot chicken cacciatore, it took us 1 minute and 40 seconds. Part of that was trying to find the spatula, but to make 2 took 2 minutes and 27 seconds total, and to make 4 took 4 minutes and 53 seconds. That means in less than 5 minutes, we just made 4 complete family dinners. I think that's pretty awesome. I was saying earlier that there's something that I used that made this so much easier, and that is that I used our Freezer Meals 101 Club to create this entire meal plan, which allowed me to then print off my shopping list and my prep list and the printable labels. Now, I have to admit something to you, and that is that this is my first time ever using the club that I invented. Now, that's just the truth. Yes, I've tested it. Of course, I wouldn't have shared it with you guys if I hadn't tested it. But I tested it on, sample meal plans and just theoretical things. I've never actually gone in and created the entire meal plan, created the shopping list, and been able to go and actually use that shopping list and the prep list. And for the prep list, I actually printed it off, and my daughter and I did the prep for this last night. It was so easy, and the reason that I've never used it before is usually when I do freezer meal marathons, I'm inventing new recipes so that I can share them with you, so that we can test them and make sure they're good enough to go into the club. But this time I decided I was going to use all tried and true recipes because, of course, I'm making these for my friend. I don't want to use experiment recipes with her. And that way I was able to save myself the headache of creating a shopping list with tally marks for how many diced onions versus minced onions versus sliced onions, and how many pounds of ground beef in this recipe and that recipe, and adding it all together. It was so easy. And I was telling my husband, like, this really works. And he was laughing at me because this is something I created to make it easier for you, and I've never actually used it to make things easier on myself. So I have to say, it worked really well. You can find the link down below, But the thing that I actually think was the very best about using the club for this is that I was able to do the printable labels, and it auto generates the date. So she will have the date, but the best part, of course, is that I've got the cooking instructions on here. And the club allows you to choose which cooking method you want to create a label for. So the ones where there's an option of doing oven or skillet or slow cooker, I chose the slow cooker option for her because that's what she was wanting. So this was my favorite part of using the club this time, is that she's going to be able to know exactly how to use these meals. And some of her kids are teens, so they're old enough to be able to help her, and they can use the cooking instructions and even get these started while she's at work. For our Tex Mex chicken, we're gonna make a couple bags here, and we're gonna use our chicken thighs that I had trimmed up yesterday. Those are in the bag. We're gonna add in some diced onion, taco seasoning, minced garlic, cream cheese. We're gonna cube that up before we add it. Drained kernel corn, or you could use frozen, some drained and rinsed black beans, salsa, and green chilies. We're gonna squish that all around in the bag to combine it. We're gonna seal it and freeze it. On the day you go to make this, you just dump all this into your slow cooker, and you can cook it on low for 4 to 6 hours or on high for 2 to 3 hours. And then you can serve this one with potatoes, with rice, with whatever. Our chicken curry recipe is a classic from my childhood, and it's super kid friendly. Maybe not the healthiest, but healthier than going through most of those drive-thrus. So into our large freezer bag, we've got our boneless, skinless chicken thighs, some ketchup, water, brown sugar, and dry onion soup mix. Squish that around, remove your air, seal it, get it in your freezer. On the day you go to make this, you can cook it in the skillet, on the barbecue, in the oven, or in the slow cooker. You can serve this with whatever side dishes you like. It does have a lot of sauce, and that sauce is pretty popular with my kids. So we like to have this with something like mashed potatoes or rice so they can use that extra sauce. These zippy shredded chicken tacos are super easy to put together. You've got your chicken breasts in the bag, add some taco seasoning, dry ranch seasoning, and fire roasted diced tomatoes. Squish that all around in the bag. Get out that excess air, seal it, and freeze it. This is going to be cooked in your slow cooker. Then you're gonna shred it, and you can serve it in tacos or on nachos. Next, we are moving on to the meatball portion of our video, and I know that her family is going to love these. So we got the ginormous bags. They're like practically as tall as I am. of meatballs from Costco. These are pre-cooked, pre-made, so it really makes things a lot easier. If you prefer, you can of course make homemade meatballs for these. We do have a few homemade meatball recipes on our website, but these just save a lot of time, and when you're doing this many meals at once, time is one of those things that is in short supply. So the first recipe that we're gonna make with these is our sheet pan sweet and sour meatballs, which is our family's personal favorite. Into your large freezer bag, you're gonna get some of those frozen meatballs, and then you're gonna add some frozen green beans and some drained pineapple slices from a can and sliced onion. Then in a small bowl, you're going to mix together some brown sugar, flour, vinegar, water, soy sauce, and a splash of ketchup. Once that's mixed, you're going to pour the sauce into your bags. You're gonna squish it to combine it, get out as much air as you can, seal it, and freeze it. This is such an easy one on the day you go to make it, because once it's thawed, you can put this on a parchment paper lined cookie sheet and bake it at 400 degrees for 20 to 30 minutes. So in half an hour, you can have dinner on the table. We always serve this with rice. The next meatball recipe we're gonna make is our simple Swedish meatballs. You're going to add your frozen meatballs to your freezer bag, and then you're gonna add some mushroom soup, sour cream, soy sauce, parsley, nutmeg, and pepper. Squish that all around to combine it. Get out that pesky air, seal it, and freeze it. On the day you go to make this, you thaw it, and you can either bake it in your oven for just 20 minutes covered, or you can get this one in your slow cooker for a few hours. You can serve this with mashed potatoes, roasted potatoes, and some kind of vegetable. These easy Italian meatballs, well, it's in the name. They are easy. For this, you can either use pasta sauce or our red sauce. Our red sauce recipe is in the club, and you can find the link for that in the description below. You can actually find most of these recipes in the description below. You're gonna have your meatballs in your bag, add pasta sauce, rosemary, salt, and pepper. That's it. You're gonna get that sealed up, get it in your freezer, and on the day you go to make this, you can heat it in a skillet or in the slow cooker or even in the oven. You can serve it over pasta, of course, so you've got your spaghetti and meatballs, or you can make meatball subs with this. After she told me that they love meatballs, I decided to throw in one extra meatball recipe. This is our easy Asian meatballs. We're gonna add our meatballs into the bags, and then add some minced garlic from a jar, lime juice, soy sauce, sesame oil, ginger. We use our ginger from a squeezy tube because just like the garlic, it's easier that way, and some sliced green onions. Again, you're just going to squish this in the bag, get out the air, seal it, and freeze it. On the day you go to make this, it can be made in the oven, the slow cooker, or even the air fryer. And you can serve this with a side like broccoli or green beans and some rice. Next, we're going to make our Cajun sausage sheet pan. This is one of our family's favorites. We love sheet pan meals all the time because they mean less dishes, and this one is just so flavorful. It's also colorful, which means that I'm getting some nutrients into my kids, and I always love that. So we're going to add some garlic sausage rings that are cut into rounds into our bags, and then peeled and cubed sweet potato, peeled, seeded, and cubed butternut squash, some zucchini that are very coarsely chopped, a little bit of olive oil, some Cajun seasoning, and a bit of salt. You're gonna mix this to combine it right in the bag, because again, it's a lot less dishes if you're mixing these in the bag than if you mix them in a bowl and transfer them to a bag, so that's our preference. Then you're gonna get that in your freezer. On the day of cooking, You thaw this and just spread it on a single layer on a baking sheet. You can line that baking sheet with foil or parchment paper to make cleanup easier. You're gonna bake this at 400 for 35 minutes. Alternatively, if you have an air fryer, this works really well in there as well. And if you want, you can add some baby potatoes onto your baking sheet. Just quarter them or cut them in half and mix them in so they get coated in the oil, and those can cook up and then you've got a full meal. But either way, this is kind of a full meal because you've got your sweet potatoes. So we don't usually cook any sides with this one. Our barbecue chicken sloppy joes is a really frugal meal because where we live, ground chicken is very inexpensive and you can often even catch it on sale. So that's a really nice feature of this. And an extra bonus is that my kids love this recipe, so I'm hoping that my friends' kids love it as well. Into our large freezer bag, we're gonna put our cooked ground chicken. We're gonna add some diced onion, diced green pepper, barbecue sauce, and tomato sauce. Squish that all around to combine it, seal it, getting all the air that we can out of there, and get that in your freezer. Now for this one, it's a really thin bag, so this is a great one to take out if you've forgotten to take out a meal that morning or the night before to thaw, because it's gonna thaw really quickly. Heat it in a skillet. The chicken is already cooked, so you're just reheating. So in 7 to 10 minutes, this is ready to be served on your hamburger buns, and it is a kid favorite. Next, we are moving on to our ground beef recipes. Now, I mentioned earlier that my daughter had helped me do prep last night, and it is so helpful to do prep the day ahead, both because it breaks it up so that it makes you less tired on the day that you're assembling all these meals and you're standing for a long time. Another tip with the whole standing thing is I suggest that you wear shoes, because you do get sore feet if you're standing for this long throwing the things in your bags, and the shoes really help with that. I am also standing on a cushy mat, so you can find those nice cushy kitchen mats in our Amazon store. Link for that down below, but we love ours and it does help. However, breaking up your prep into one day and your assembly into another is the biggest tip we can give you for making this less overwhelming and just making it run a lot smoother. But another thing that doing your prep the day before does is it allows those ingredients to cool. When you're freezer cooking, we've already talked about, getting the air out because that can cause your freezer burn. But another thing that can be a contributing factor to freezer burn is having condensation in the bags. And one of the ways that happens is by putting things in the bag that are still warm or even hot. You don't want to do that. So by cooking the hamburger yesterday, we were able to have that cool, and it sat in the fridge overnight in a covered container, and now when we go to make it today, it's already cool, it's already ready to go into these bags. So it's just another great benefit to doing your prep the day before. And we were cooking so much of it at once that I actually did bake it in the oven on foil-lined trays. And I always take it out about halfway through cooking, drain it, and mix it around with the mix and chop a little bit to just break it apart and make sure it cooks evenly. Then get it back in your oven. Once it's out, you're gonna let it cool a little bit before you transfer it to your container, and then you're gonna put it in your fridge for overnight or later the same day if you're prepping on the same day. Okay, now that we've got our ground beef all ready for us, we're going to put together our one pot bolognese. For this, you're gonna add your cooked ground beef into your bag, then some minced onion, minced garlic, again from a jar, some pasta sauce or our red sauce, diced tomatoes, and chicken broth. You're gonna squish that all together in your bag, get your air out, seal it, freeze it. Then when you go to make this, the beautiful thing about it is that your pasta cooks up right in the sauce. So again, it's like the sheet pan meals, it's less dishes. You're gonna thaw this, put it in a large pot or a really deep skillet, bring it to a boil, stir in your penne pasta, and just cook it until the pasta is tender. You can sprinkle this with Parmesan cheese and red pepper flakes if you like. And if you want, you can serve it with a side salad. This next recipe is our chili. It's a very popular one. People have been asking me for this recipe for years and years and years before I had the website. And so now with the website, I'm able to share this recipe with the world. In your large freezer bag, you've got your cooked ground beef, and you're gonna add some diced onion. My mother-in-law says with chili, more onion makes a better chili. Then your minced garlic, your kidney beans that are not drained, your chili style beans, again with the liquid, diced tomatoes, tomato paste, chili powder, cumin, paprika, pepper, and my secret, not so secret anymore, ingredient, maple syrup. I mean, we are Canadian after all. Then you're gonna squish this together in your bag. You're gonna get out as much air as you can, seal it, freeze it, and when you go to cook this, you're gonna thaw it. You can heat it in a stovetop pot, or you can make this in the slow cooker. Now with chili, cooking it longer is often better. Those flavors meld, and I don't know about you, but day 2 chili always tastes better to me than day 1 chili. So if you double this so that you have leftovers, that's just all the better. You can serve this with buns or a side salad, and in the past I've often made popovers and served the chili inside. Our baked tortellini Alfredo is a really popular one, and it's one that's really versatile. You can mix it up lots of different ways, so I thought this would be a great one for this family to enjoy. You can do this one either in a bowl first and transfer it to a bag because it's so large, or you can make it right in your bag. You're gonna add some cheese tortellini. We are using the tricolor cheese tortellini from Costco. It comes in a 3-pack, and that way we're able to make 3 meals with it. We're gonna add in some Alfredo sauce, some shredded mozzarella cheese, and then what we call our mix-ins. So what that is you can put some cooked chicken in here, you can put some cooked crumbled bacon, you can put sun-dried tomatoes, mushrooms, peas, whatever you want, you can add into here. And then you're gonna squish this to combine it. You're gonna get your air out, of course, and then you're gonna add some Parmesan cheese to a medium size. Medium size is a quart size freezer bag. You're gonna get the air out of that as well and seal it, and then you're going to staple those bags together above the seal. That way you'll have everything you need all in the same place on the day you go to make it. When you go to make this, you thaw it, dump it into a casserole dish, and you're gonna top it with that Parmesan cheese that's in your extra bag there. You're gonna bake this for just 30 to 40 minutes and serve it. Again, for this one, you could use a side salad if you wanted. It would go nicely with a Caesar salad, honestly. But if you chose some vegetables as your mix-in, then you could skip the side salad. With that other bag of tortellini from our 3-pack, because we made 2 of the baked Alfredo tortellinis, we're gonna make our tortellini sausage skillet. This is such a hearty recipe, and I think it's going to be really perfect for this family. When we did our prep last night, we cooked up some Italian sausage meatballs. So we're gonna add those, now that they're cooled, into our freezer bag. Then we're gonna add some diced green pepper, diced yellow pepper, diced red pepper, sliced mushrooms, diced onion, and pasta sauce. Or again, you could use our red sauce. Then we're gonna add in that cheese tortellini. Squish it all together to combine it, and get that in your freezer. On the day you go to make this, you're just gonna add some water to your skillet and heat this over medium-high heat until that tortellini is cooked through. It's gonna cook up right in this. This is a 1 pot, and this takes less than 10 minutes before your entire meal is done. Since we were going to all the trouble of making those Italian sausage meatballs, I figured we might as well make extra so that we could make this Italian sausage pasta sauce. It is also a nice hearty one, and it's a bit of a departure from that spaghetti and meatballs one that they also will have. Into your large freezer bag, you've got your Italian sausage meatballs. Then you're gonna add a lot of salsa, some diced onion, diced green pepper, minced garlic, and some capers. Gonna squish that all together in your bag, get it in your freezer. On the day you go to make this, you thaw it, you heat it up in a skillet, and of course you serve this over your favorite pasta. Another tip for you is before you start your very first freezer meal, it's a good idea to get all your dishes done, get your counters wiped off, and of course you'll want to wipe your counters down in between proteins so that, you know, after you've been working with raw chicken, you make sure everything is nice and sanitized before you move on to the next thing. But the reason that you want to do your dishes ahead, and if you've got a dishwasher, get that emptied, is just that it makes things a lot smoother and faster as you're going along if you're sort of starting with a fresh, clean slate like that. So that's one of the first things that I did today. And then, of course, I did have to reload the dishwasher, run it again, empty it, reload it, you know, all the things, because we did go through a fair amount of dishes. Even though we didn't use a lot of mixing bowls, there's still dishes. But I think we did really, really well today. It helped so much knowing that you guys were here with me, because I have to admit, it was a little bit lonely in my kitchen. I'm missing having Christy's company and missing having somebody to do this with, but I was able to be pretty productive. I got 28 meals done. I'm really excited about that. I think this is going to be a huge blessing for my friend and for her family. I hope that not only will the meals help them in terms of making the days easier for her, but also just help them feel loved and remember that people are thinking about them. Just another reminder to check in the description below where I've got the recipes for you, as well as links to a cheat sheet on what freezes and what doesn't, and a link to our Freezer Meals 101 Club if you want to check that out, because I would love for you to be able to get your freezer stacked to save your family a ton of money every year, thousands of dollars a year for an average family of 4, and to be able to save yourself time and most of all that mental load of not having to think about what's for dinner every single day. I'm gonna pop a video right there to some slow cooker recipes that you can check out, and those ones are so fast and easy that you can make 5 meals in 17 minutes or less. So you could make your weekday meals in less than 20 minutes on the weekend and not have to worry for the rest of the week. Thanks again for joining me today, and happy cooking.